Oh, I knew looking at the camera. Is that what okay, I just want to make sure I'm here, bro.
You good now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, let's get it, bro.
All right. You ready? You ready for this?
Hello, audience.
Couch Potato General Manager back with another YouTube video, and we're talking Bill O'Brien. Obviously, this news came out a couple of days ago, but CPGM Drew and myself, CPGM Juice, wanted to weigh in on this because this one has been bothering us for a while. Not the fact that the Texans fired Bill O'Brien after an 0-4 start this season, but they didn't do it sooner. So, Drew, I'm gonna throw it to you, and just give me just unload the clip, man.
Listen, finally. Took forever. I don't know if he had the pictures of the owner or what he had that have held the owner to. And I know, there's reports out there that he really liked him and different things like that. But, man, this guy, I mean, he shredded this football team. And one of the biggest things that I had a problem with was the compensation that he was getting for the draft picks. You wanna develop your team and mold them in the way that you want with the players that you want. Cool. I have no problem with the coach coming in and doing that. But if you're going to get rid of those star players, I need you to make sure that compensation is right. I need to make sure when you're bringing in players that you're trading for, that compensation, that you're not giving away the future. And he set this team back. I don't know how many years, but he set them back. And they're damn lucky that they were in that terrible division that you call the AFC South, because he probably would have been gone sooner. And that was probably one of those things that kind of kept him, there was that terrible division along with Deshaun Watson.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And to your point regarding the lack of compensation that he got back for quality football players, just to kind of memorialize this thing, it's you don't get a first round pick, not multiple, but a first round pick for Clowney and Hopkins. And frankly, on the Hopkins deal, you got about 25 cents on the dollar. You know how I felt about Brandin Cooks.
Yep.
I don't think there's a whole lot of good football there anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. You bring in Daivd Johnson, who hasn't looked right since about 2017. So it's head scratching, man. And I kind of walked this thing back. You know what I mean? This didn't happen obviously there was a crescendo this offseason with the moving of Hopkins because apparently they weren't seeing eye to eye. And then, of course, this 0-4 start, which I think actually starts the healing process for Houston, for this organization, for this fan base sooner rather than later, because I thought it was going to have to be they don't make the playoffs in order for Bill O'Brien to get the boot, because as you mentioned, he's been able to kind of coast on the fact that there was already a pretty talented roster when he showed up to become the head coach, right? And it's been a fairly non-competitive division until here recently. So, there may have been a Colts sighting here, or, the Jags made their run a few years ago, and then of course, Tennessee last year. But generally speaking, it's been the Texans division because they've just been so much better than everybody else in the division. So he's benefited from that, certainly. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to point out in terms of the history and where I started to kind of see things unravel. And it wasn't always necessarily when he was both head coach and GM, but I knew he had quite a bit of pull when they ultimately decided to make him the GM. They didn't decide after Smith moved on, they didn't bring in anybody else to oversee things. And that really cemented it for me that he either had those photos of compromising photos of members of the McNair family, or they really liked him. They genuinely liked him, even though he may have rubbed players and other members of that front office the wrong way. When Bob McNair, the former owner, Bob McNair, passed away, I thought that was kind of the trickle-down effect. I had already had issues with him as a play caller, and I thought that, just standing next to Belichick and Brady, kind of buoyed his star and turned him into this quote-unquote quarterback whisperer when it wasn't really warranted. But I thought the fact that the family, the ownership, didn't really put checks and balances on him started this whole process. And then, of course, I go back to a couple of moves or non-moves that really stood out to me a few years ago, quite some years ago, to be frankly with you. And that was, you moved off of Dwayne Brown at left tackle, right? Mm-hmm. And you moved off of Brandon Brooks, who became an all-pro. So Brown is a quality left tackle, right? And Brooks has turned himself into an all-pro. What did you do here recently? You traded a pair of first-round picks away to get Laremy Tunsil, who's
Mhm.
about as good as Dwayne Brown. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So what's the point? It just the
Don't
personnel
make any sense.
decisions, the X's and O's, whether it be game plan, whether it be in-game adjustments, all of that was bad. Then again, like I said, you then compound that with personnel faux pas, and you have this situation. So I didn't think that he was going to get fired this soon, but I assumed if they didn't make the playoffs, he was gone.
Yeah, and that was my thought process, but it's unfortunate that they ran into, the teams they ran into in the very beginning, which, are playoff teams, at this point, and, running into the Steelers. I mean, you can't lose to the Vikings when they're 0-3. And that, it's just, if we can't beat the Vikings who are 0-3, who are struggling, then that means it's time to go. I know you played the Pittsburgh Steelers, which you had a chance to win that game. And then you played the Chiefs and you played the Ravens. It's unfortunate, but you wouldn't think you would get fired in a COVID season with everything that's going on, different things. You know what I mean? But hey, listen, I'm happy for a Texans fan. Yes. And you hate to see people getting fired. You know what I mean? Like, fans get caught up in that. I'm glad he's gone, and all that. But
I mean, he all right. It's not like he didn't get paid. He good.
You're right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Get up out of here, man.
Yeah, get up out of here. He's good. He's still getting checks, man. He's still getting checks. But, yeah, man, I am glad for Texans fans. But at the same time, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough because he was playing Madden. He was just plucking players here, there, and every time you turn around, man, it was just like, what's going to be next? And I know the whole Hopkins thing was, hey, we didn't have the money to pay him, this, that, and the other. It's not about that you're trading the player away. It's about the compensation that you did not get for that player. And again, you could have, if you waited, you could have had a Fournette. Not that he would have come there, but you would have had a chance to get a Fournette versus getting a Daivd Johnson. I guess maybe he fits what they want to do there, but I don't know, man.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot for any individual to wear both those hats, both general manager and head coach. The best head coaches have challenges associated with that, and you cannot mention Bill O'Brien's name in a sentence with best at anything. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like I said, the position that he was put in. I'm not excusing him because he thought he could do it. You know what I'm saying? He I'm sure he pumped his chest out and made sure everybody and people were aware that he was the man in charge. He was the czar, right? So, with that comes a certain level of responsibility. You know what I mean? But this organization, like I said, after Mr. McNair passed, I think there wasn't really a compass anymore. There was more like, okay, Bill, Bob, let me clean that up. Okay, Bob, go ahead and take care of it. You're the football guy. You go ahead and take care of everything. And it clearly didn't work. It clearly fell apart. You mentioned, this team having to scrap and there's not going to be any immediate fix. Apparently, the last straw was a confrontation that he had with J.J. Watt here recently. And J.J. Watt is, the elder statesman on this team, has played at a very high level for a very long time. And I mean, when you have a leader of the team like that, who may not necessarily have always been at odds with Bill O'Brien, but certainly, if there's a confrontation and it's public and so on and so forth, everybody kind of feeds off of that. You know what I'm saying? And it would not surprise me. We're obviously not in the building. It would not surprise me that this guy lost his team a long time ago. When you make moves like you made, when you move new, you mentioned Hopkins. You talk about the money. Again, I put that on Bill O'Brien. Like your point is that it's not about the fact that you moved him, but the lack of compensation. I got an issue with you moving him. He's the best receiver in the game as far as I'm concerned. I got an issue with you moving him. So your inability to pay him, to me, also falls on you. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're making other deals. You gave Laremy Tunsil an unprecedented deal. Tunsil's a good player. He's not a great player. He's not a $22 million a year player. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the things that where like I said, I am not empathetic. This is what the Texans needed. Unfortunately, it comes after him doing quite a bit of damage. With that being said, this team does have Deshaun Watson locked up for about 6 years. And, there's some other hot seats throughout the NFL, whether it be Detroit, the Jets. Who else comes to mind? Atlanta, Dan Quinn in Atlanta. What do you think? If you're, let's say, the popular name obviously is Eric Bieniemy, and I think Eric Bieniemy deserves an opportunity. Absolutely deserves an opportunity. I don't think there's any question about that. If you're Eric Bieniemy, which team are you heading to? Are you going to go to Houston? Are you going to try to resurrect this Falcons team? Do you want to take on what's going on in New York or Detroit?
Baby, you threw it all at me?
I threw it all at you.
So I'm running through each. I'm thinking about the division. I'm thinking about the pieces that are in, on each team. I think that the Falcons are probably the best of all those teams in terms of the complete talent. We talk about everything that's on there, but they're in a tough division with the Bucs, the Saints, and Carolina's on the rise. And it's a team, if you come in there thinking you're going to sleepwalk through them, they may beat you. You know what I mean? You're talking about the Jets, who is probably the worst rostered team when you talk about all those teams. I'm not sure I want to go there unless you're telling me you're going to give me that the John Gruden deal, the 10-year deal, where I can mold my team and do it how I want to do it. That way, if you do fire me, I'm good for the next however many every years that I got left on my contract. The Texans, defensively, they got some issues and they got some things they need to work out. Secondary is poo-poo. It's been poo-poo for a while. And again, they don't have a number one receiver, do they?
No.
Okay. Okay. They got Deshaun Watson. O-line is still a problem. Word is part of the issue is Deshaun Watson not being able to make calls at the line to adjust to whatever's coming from the defense. I don't know hey, I'm just telling you what I hear. I don't know if it's true. I'm just telling you what I hear. I know that's your guy. That was number one, right?
But apparently he was playing for a quarterback whisperer. So what's the problem?
Listen, I'm with you. And then you go over to Detroit and offensively, I think they're fine. Defensively, they got some problems, and I think that may just be a scheme thing. But again, they're in a pretty tough division as well. So if I had to pick one, man, just for the longevity of it, I may go the Jets, bro. If you're telling me you're gonna give me that, if you're gonna give me that 10-year deal, I may go there because I can build it how I want. I can, but you're starting from complete scratch there.
So I don't know how feasible or likely the 10-year deal, the grandfather deal, the Godfather deal, I should say, in New York is. Now Chucky got that with the Raiders because obviously he had success with the Raiders previously.
Yeah, Al Davis and the boys. Yeah.
So that was a little bit different. And then of course you're trying to lure him from the booth. So they had to back up the Brinks truck. And they were trying to generate that buzz because they knew that they were going to move to Vegas and all of that. So that's kind of how that happened. As far as the Jets are concerned, I just don't know that they're going to pony up. They have question marks throughout their front office. Detroit certainly has question marks in terms of how the ownership is approaching things. I thought, after Jim Caldwell had winning seasons, 3 out of 4 seasons, you fired him after 9-7 season, and then you go to Matt Patricia, who thinks he's Belichick. He's not. I agree with you that there's some intriguing pieces on that team, but it's also a very difficult place to recruit talent. You know what I mean? As far as free agents are concerned, so on and so forth. But it's not a bad situation because you got a quarterback there. Yeah. Atlanta, I think, is probably, in my opinion, the most desirable destination. And the reason why the team that was close had the most success recently. All right. They're just a few years removed from, Super Bowl run. Their quarterback has been an MVP. They have some work to do. Don't get me wrong. They have some work to do. But I think Matt Ryan at 35 years old, 34, 35, 36 years old, I think I can work with that. The other draw would obviously be Deshaun Watson, but you lack resources there. That's the issue with that particular spot. So to me, it would come down to those two spots. Arthur Blank, I think, is a quality owner. If I get the opportunity to say, hey, bring me in with such and such to be the personnel guy, I might lean in that direction. If you give me the Bill O'Brien deal, hell, I might do that. If you're going to make me the GM and the head coach, it might not be a great idea for Houston. But if it's me or if it's Eric Bieniemy, then I would probably do that because of Deshaun Watson as well. So this was supposed to be a 2-minute drill video, but obviously it turned into a 10, 12-minute drive.
Hey, it
So
happened like
you know what I'm
that,
saying? There's a lot to unpack here with this kind of coach carousel. But at the end of the day, Bob is no longer the head coach of the Houston Texans, and frankly, because I imagine he's in good health, he's well-to-do as far as financially, his family will be fine. Good riddance. Good
Yeah.
riddance. You know, it was long past due. He was on borrowed time. So that's going to wrap it up for this 2-minute drill. Like, comment, and subscribe.